Hello everyone, this is Dr. Kishore Kumar. Today I am going to discuss about the pathway of gluconeogenesis. So if you just go back to my carbohydrate metabolism overview video, then you can get an idea about what are the different pathways that can be present in this carbohydrate metabolism. So where one of the important pathway that can present in the carbohydrate metabolism is gluconeogenesis. So this is so much important to generate a glucose when the glucose levels are absent in the blood. So this is to be important in a many aspects, and that are to be made it this particular pathway is very significant. So in this particular pathway, I'm going to discuss about the basic introductory points about the what is glucose and how this gluconeogenesis pathway is to be generated and what is its significance. And after that, I'm going to discuss about the gluconeogenesis actual reactions. So where exactly the glucose is manufactured, how the glucose is manufactured with the help of enzymes, that I will discuss in gluconeogenesis. And I also discuss about the Cori cycle, which is one of the greater invention by the Cori, the scientist Cori. So to honor of her name, so the cycle, the name itself given her name, that is Cori cycle. And I also discuss about the propionate to the glucose formation. This can be nothing but how the fats are converting into the glucose molecules. And even the last step, I am going to discuss about the amino acids or proteins made up of amino acids, how these amino acids are involved for the synthesis of glucose. That cycle, especially here, I'm going to discuss about the glucose alanine cycle. So apart from this, I'll also discuss about some activators and inhibitors of this gluconeogenesis. So let's start our class. So first, we should understand what is gluconeogenesis. The synthesis of carbohydrates from the non-carbohydrate precursors is called gluconeogenesis. Or in a simple sentence, we can call them as this is formation of new sugar molecule from the non-carbohydrate molecules. So gluco mean glucose, neo mean new, genesis means synthesis. New glucose molecule is synthesizing from non-carbohydrate moieties. So the pathway is called gluconeogenesis. In this particular pathway, there will be a few important precursors which will be which will be involved for the synthesis of the glucose in this gluconeogenesis pathway. Here I am going to discuss a few important these reactants which are to be involved for these pathways. First and foremost important thing is pyruvate. So the pyruvate, which is the majority of this cell, are many cells. Many cells mean you should remember. So if you observe in my introductory slide where I kept the liver picture, because you should be remember that the gluconeogenesis is to be majorly taking place in the liver. So if you take hepatocytes are nothing but liver cells, where exactly the pyruvate, most of the pyruvate molecules will be converted into the glucose molecules. So here we are going to discuss about majorly the pyruvate to the glucose formation. So how this pyruvate is present in the cytoplasm, that is with the various intermediate products of amino acid metabolism and citric acid cycle metabolisms. And if you take second more substrate for the synthesis of glucose, that is lactate, and this lactate will be generated in the skeletal muscle cells. The process is called Cori cycle. This anyway, I'm going to discuss a little more elaborative in the coming slides. And third molecule which are involved is glycerol and propionate. This glycerol and propionate that can be generated in the system by the hydrolysis of fats. So the fat molecule will be converted into the glycerol or propionate, and this can be involved for the synthesis of glucose. So the whole pathway is gluconeogenesis. And not only these three, even the fourth molecule which is also very important, that is glucogenic, or we generally call as amino acid, glucogenic amino acids. So the name itself indicates these amino acids will be involved for the synthesis of glucose. So these glucogenic amino acids, majority of the amino acid will be involved for this synthesis of the glucose, except the leucine and lysine. So I have given here. So you should remember that the leucine and lysine, which is these are two amino acids which are not involved for the gluconeogenesis pathway. So you should remember that pyruvate, lactate, glycerol, propionate, and glucogenic amino acid. These are the different intermediary products of non-carbohydrate metabolism. So all these can contribute to the formation of the glucose. So that's what gluconeogenesis. And if you see, the main goal of this gluconeogenesis is to be continuous supply of glucose to the system. So if you take the body, whether the carbohydrate diet has to be taken or not, the main aim of this gluconeogenesis is to be continuously supply of glucose. So why this continuous supply of glucose is to be important? So if you see the significances, here I am trying to give you major significances. So I have divided into 4 major significances. This can be important. So you should be understand that the first one, majority of the tissues or majority of the cells like brain, erythrocytes, testis, central nervous system, kidney, medulla. These are the different kinds of the cells and tissues which are required a continuous supply of glucose for its activity. So why the continuous supply of glucose is important, we will discuss at the end of this session, because that is important. So the second important point is, which is always, if you take, even though humans are aerobic organisms, but even some certain conditions, there is a localized anaerobic condition which is prevail. For example, you will take the skeletal muscle. During the strenuous exercise or during the heavy exercise period, the muscle has required lots of ATP, and that has to be coming from the glycolysis. At that particular condition, there is a limitation of the oxygen in a blood circulation. So the glucose, instead of going into oxidative pathway, which is converted into which is going into anaerobic condition. So where that can form the end product is lactate, and there the ATP is to be generated. So here this can be continuously supply of energy is to be maintained, whether if glucose is whether it is oxygen present or absent. And third one, if you see, the fasting even more than a day. This is the fundamental rule for the activation of gluconeogenesis. Is if a person is to be fasting even more than a day, definitely that particular timing, mean the 24 hours, the stored reserve of glucose, that is glycogen, is continuously supplying the glucose, and the storage level of glycogen is very low after 24 hours. And then that time, the fats, proteins, amino acids will start synthesizing the glucose, so that it has to be give the glucose to the above mentioned organelles, the above mentioned cells like brain, erythrocytes, so on. So there is an interlinking point between the third and first one. And even certain cases, it can also be clear the certain metabolites. For example, if you take the second point, where the anaerobic glycolysis will be leads to the accumulation of lactate. Lactate is to be dead end product. Definitely, it has to be converted into the some other form. So if it is not to be converted, that can lead to the many side effects. So in this particular process, the clearance of certain metabolites, even not only this, even amino acid metabolism also, the clearance of acetates and these things will be continuously done with the gluconeogenesis. These are to be important significance which are related with the gluconeogenesis. And you can see the few characteristic of this pathway. The location of gluconeogenesis is always in the cytosol. This we should remember. The glycolysis is always in the cytosol and gluconeogenesis is always in the cytosol. And if you see the major tissue which are involved for this particular pathway is liver. So here the liver is the major tissue that can be involved for this particular pathway. And if you take the synthesis level, 1 kg of glucose is synthesized every day by the liver, the process by the gluconeogenesis. And some extent, even kidney matrix is also be involved for the synthesis of gluconeogenesis. Why only those two particular tissues? Why not others? That anyway, I'll discuss. And if you see the reactions, this particular pathway is involved is involved many reactions. Out of these reactions, even 70–80% of reactions which are matching to the glycolysis. So this gluconeogenesis pathway is closely resembled the reversed glycolysis pathway, but it is not complete reversal. That you should remember. So this is always not exactly reversal of glycolysis, but few steps which are a reversal of glycolysis that we will discuss. And not only that, even the animals, humans, even plants also be involved for the synthesis of glucose by this gluconeogenesis pathway. Example, if you take the plants, CO2 is taken from the atmosphere and that can be fixed and which is converted into 3-phosphoglycerate, and this 3-phosphoglycerate will be entered into the gluconeogenesis cycle. So these are few basic introductory points we should understand about the gluconeogenesis. And if you see the actual pathway of gluconeogenesis, the actual pathway of gluconeogenesis, as I explained, which is majority of the reactions are matching with the glycolysis. So except 3 reactions, this we should understand. Except 3 reactions, I'm taking annotation here. Except 3 reactions, other reactions are matching to the glycolysis, reversal of glycolysis. Where exactly these reactions are differ, we should understand. So first difference is here, because this particular pathway is glycolysis. On glycolysis, this is the last step, that is conversion of phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate. So conversion of phosphoenol pyruvate to pyruvate, this step is to be a completely different, or which is not exactly reversal of this glycolysis. So this step, the variation, the reaction is to be bypassed, and that is, we can see here, the pyruvate to phosphoenol pyruvate. And second bypassed reaction that can be present between here, the fructose 1,6 bisphosphate to the fructose 6-phosphate. So this is to be on second bypassed reaction of reversible glycolysis. And third important reaction which is bypassed is the glucose 6-phosphate is converting into the glucose. That is nothing but glucose 6-phosphate is converted into glucose. These, if you take, these are all 10 different reactions of glycolysis. These 10 different reactions of glycolysis we already extensively discussed in a glycolysis class. If you have any doubts, you please go back to the glycolysis video and you can better understand what are these steps. So here I have given, this is a glycolysis, where glycolysis which is involved 10 different steps. Out of 10 different steps, these 3 different steps are bypassed when come to the gluconeogenesis. That we will go by step, where exactly which is bypassing and what are the enzymes which are involving. We will see step by step, and finally we will construct the gluconeogenesis pathway. And we should also be remember why the particular 3 steps are bypassed, because of the particular 3 steps are to be exergonic reactions. So exergonic reactions mean where the free energy will represent as delta G, that is to be negative. So whenever the free energy is negative for a particular reaction, definitely that are not to be unreversible reactions. So we will make it to be this gluconeogenesis pathway, that negative free energy is making to be zero, so that it can be possible to going back in a reversible manner. So that's what the negative free energy is to be converted into the zero free energy. So for that particular reason, these 3 stages where it can be bypassed. So now we will discuss about the first reaction, that is pyruvate to the phosphoenol pyruvate conversion, which is important. So in glycolysis, this is to be reverse. Phosphoenol pyruvate is converted into the pyruvate. But in gluconeogenesis, pyruvate has to be converted into the phosphoenol pyruvate. So if you see this can be happening in 2 different pathways or in 2 different ways. We should remember that in 2 different ways. But here I'm trying to discuss the 2 ways in a better, simple understanding manner. So first, suppose the pyruvate, you can see this is the pyruvate. The pyruvate level or the concentration of the pyruvate is more than the cytosol. This cytosol pyruvate, it has to be transported into the mitochondria. Why this transport is important? Because the enzyme which can involve for the conversion of pyruvate to the process of phosphoenol pyruvate, the particular enzyme that can present only in the mitochondria. That enzyme name is pyruvate carboxylase. You can see here this one. Pyruvate carboxylase is an enzyme that can present only in a mitochondria. So that's what the pyruvate, which is present at the larger quantity in the cytoplasm, which has to be transported into the mitochondria. So after it is entered into the mitochondria, the pyruvate is converted into oxaloacetate, which is not directly converting into phosphoenol pyruvate. There will be an intermediate metabolite that can present, we call oxaloacetate. This oxaloacetate, if you see the reaction, how exactly which is converting. So just a second. So if you see this oxaloacetate, so the enzyme which is involved is pyruvate carboxylase. This pyruvate carboxylase, where there is an enzyme, there is a prosthetic group that is called biotin. Biotin has to be present for the proper functioning of this pyruvate carboxylase. So this prosthetic group will act as a carrier for bicarbonate molecule. This bicarbonate molecule, which is to be attached with the biotin, and that can be fused with the pyruvate, and that can be formed the oxaloacetate with the help of one molecule of ATP. So this we should discuss. So this biotin is important for this kind of the reaction. So where one ATP is utilized. This is what exactly the pyruvate carboxylase is done. So this pyruvate is converted into the oxaloacetate. You can see this. this oxaloacetate, which is not freely going out from the mitochondria, because where the inner mitochondrial membrane is not freely transporting this oxaloacetate. In that particular case, this oxaloacetate has converted into the malate. This we should remember. So the malate, after conversion of this malate is that can readily exporting into the cytoplasm, because the gluconeogenesis pathway which is taking place in the cytoplasm, not in the mitochondria. So that the oxaloacetate which is formed in the mitochondria, it has to be come out to the cytoplasm so that it can participating in the gluconeogenesis pathway. So this malate, the conversion is mitochondrial malate dehydrogenase. This is an enzyme. So there is one more isoenzyme that can also be present. This we call cytosolic malate dehydrogenase. This can present in the cytoplasm and this can be present in a mitochondria. This you should remember. And so during this conversion, the NAD plus is arised, or NAD plus, the oxidized NAD plus is formed. And this malate, once it is formed in mitochondria, which is freely exported in the cytoplasm, and this again mitochondria will be going for the formation of oxaloacetate. This oxaloacetate, where exactly same enzyme that we call isoenzyme, which is not same enzyme, isoenzyme, because isoenzyme means the function is to be same, but their location is to be different. So here cytosolic malate dehydrogenase will again regenerate oxaloacetate. This oxaloacetate is converting into the phosphoenol pyruvate. That is nothing but this one, the PEP, phosphoenol pyruvate. This phosphoenol pyruvate with the enzyme of carboxykinase, PEP carboxykinase. This is an enzyme, PEP carboxykinase, which will convert oxaloacetate into phosphoenol pyruvate. Right? This is the first bypass reaction, and this is the one pathway. And you can see in some other cases, which is the lactate, which is coming, which is converted into pyruvate, and this is with the help of enzyme lactate dehydrogenase. This is what the Cori cycle, and this pyruvate again, this can be converted into oxaloacetate, and this oxaloacetate that can directly converted into phosphoenol pyruvate in a mitochondria, and this can be sent out to the cytoplasm for participation of gluconeogenesis. This can also be possible with the certain amino acid metabolites or certain glucogenic amino acids. You can see what exactly this conversion of oxaloacetate to phosphoenol pyruvate can taking place. So you should understand here, one GTP is utilized here. So here we should remember pyruvate is always a 3-carbon compound, but glucose is to be 6-carbon compounds. So 2 molecules of pyruvate is essential for the formation of 1 molecule of glucose. That we should understand. And coming to the second bypassed step is fructose 1,6-bisphosphate to fructose 6-phosphate. So if you remember in a glycolysis, this is to be an stage where fructose 6-phosphate is converted into the 1,6-bisphosphate, where one more phosphate is added here. This pathway is called glycolysis. But we are going back to the glycolysis because we want to synthesize the glucose. We don't want to catabolite, or we don't want to break down of glucose. Here the intention of gluconeogenesis is to be synthesize the glucose. So that if you see the fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is converting into the fructose 6-phosphate with the enzyme fructose 1,6-bisphosphatase. You should remember that whenever you find the enzyme name phosphatase, the phosphatase itself indicates that can simply it can remove the phosphate from the substrate. So here phosphate removed at the first carbon so that it is converting into fructose 6-phosphate. For this enzyme activity, it should require the magnesium. It's clear? This is the second bypass step of the citric acid, step of the gluconeogenesis pathway. So coming to the third bypassing pathway, that is conversion of glucose 6-phosphate to glucose. This conversion of glucose 6-phosphate to glucose, if you remember this is the glycolysis step where the glucose is converting into glucose 6-phosphate with the help of hexokinase and glucokinase. But here we are synthesizing the glucose. This is gluconeogenesis pathway. So here again glucose 6-phosphatase, again phosphatase, so which can remove the phosphate at the 6th carbon of glucose. So finally it can convert to the glucose, right? So this is this is important for the conversion of glucose 6 pathway, glucose 6-phosphate into the glucose molecule. And you can see the importance of this particular enzyme, because this enzyme, the phosphatase, which is like a same previously discussed the enzyme, so with which for which activity the magnesium is to be important, and this can be present. This can be present in the luminal side of the endoplasmic reticulum of hepatocytes and renal cells. This is important. So why I am discussing this one? Because if you see in the previous slides where I have shown the brain, central nervous system, erythrocytes, these are the different kinds of the tissues where it should require the glucose, continuous supply of glucose, because where gluconeogenesis pathway is absent. Why it is absent? Because of there is no presence of this enzyme. The glucose 6-phosphate is not present in the tissues, which can exclusively present only the hepatocytes, nothing but which is liver and renal cells. It's clear? So that's what, which is to be important important for this particular conversion. And not only this, you should also be see a few. So even if you see the muscle brain tissue, that's what I'm discussing. They do not contain this enzyme, so they cannot perform the gluconeogenesis. So this function is taken care by the glucose. This function is taken care by the liver, so that can prepare the glucose, which is sent to the hepatic blood circulation, from where it can circulate entire the body, and the cells which they wants the glucose, they can take from the blood. And the glucose produced by gluconeogenesis in the liver or kidney is delivered to the brain and muscle through the bloodstream. So that's what, which is important. And you should be remember that we should understand the whole pathway together. This is important. So because so far we discussed about the various R3 bypassing reactions, right? So now we will put all these reactions in a sequential manner so that we can understand the gluconeogenesis pathway. You just this is to be this is exactly pathway. You just remember like this. Clear? So this side is to be glycolysis pathway, and this is to be gluconeogenesis pathway. So we will start with the gluconeogenesis pathway. The pyruvate, which can be converted into oxaloacetate, and this oxaloacetate will converted into phosphoenol pyruvate, and this phosphoenol pyruvate is again converted into 2-phosphoglycerate, 3-phosphoglycerate, 1,3-bis-phosphoglycerate, and again it can be further converted into this interconversion of dihydroxyacetone phosphate and glycerol 3-phosphate, and this can form the fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, because this is one of the bypassing reaction. This fructose 1,6-bisphosphate will be bypassed with the enzyme fructose bisphosphatase, and that can be converted into fructose 6-phosphate, from where it is glucose 6-phosphate, and finally the phosphate is removed at the 6th carbon of glucose, and that can be formed the glucose. You should remember that these are the different kinds of the reactions which are involved in a gluconeogenesis. Students, this is very easy. You can understand the glycolysis, and you just identify the 3 different steps in the glycolysis, so that you can write in gluconeogenesis and glycolysis also. So coming to the energetics of this gluconeogenesis pathway. This is important. So if you see the energetics, two pyruvate molecules are compulsory for the formation of single molecule of glucose, because that is 3 carbon compounds. This is 6 carbon compounds, and 4 ATPs are important. Not only the 4 ATPs, there are 2 other GTPs also be important, which we call altogether, we call 6 ATP equivalents are important for the formation of this 1 molecule of glucose. And not only that, 2 molecule of NADH and 4 molecule of water is also be involved for the this conversion of glucose or synthesis of glucose molecule. If you see this energetics, we can definitely understood that which is a very expensive pathway. Even though if it is expensive, it has to be happening because of the brain needs more amount of glucose, that I discussed in a last chapters, that the brain alone will take 120 grams of glucose out of 160 grams of the glucose which is required by the body. So that there will be continuous supplying of glucose to the brain is important. Even though which is to be an expensive process, it has to be synthesized, it has to be generate glucose for the supplying to the other essential tissues. And we should also be discuss, this is an appropriate time to discuss about the Cori cycle. So you can see the what do you mean by Cori cycle? The Cori cycle is nothing but the synthesis of glucose in liver from the skeletal muscle lactate is called Cori cycle. So here you can better understand, because of this is a muscle cell. The muscle cell during in fast exercise condition or more strenuous exercise conditions, there will be anaerobic condition which can be prevailed. So anaerobic glycolysis that can convert to the lactate. And if the lactate is not cleared, definitely that will create a problem to the muscle. This we call muscle fatigue. So this lactate has to be cleared in the muscle cells. So this lactate, which is freely transported from the membrane of skeletal muscle, and which is entered into the hepatic blood circulation, from where which is directly transporting into the liver, where the liver will be using of gluconeogenesis pathway that I explained in the third slide. This lactate is converting into the glucose. This glucose again will be sent to the blood circulation, and that is directly transported into the muscle cell, so that the muscle is utilize this glucose for the generation of ATP, so that it can be utilized for its activity, right? So this process we call Cori cycle, because this was first studied and given by the scientist Coris. And here I am going to discuss a few important 2 pathways which are, you just remember about it, that's it. So first one is propionate. So even during fasting conditions, the fat itself act as an substrate for the synthesis of new molecule of glucose, where exactly if you take odd chain fatty acids or few amino acids like valine, isoleucine, threonine and methionine, these will generate a propionyl CoA. Especially the odd chain fatty acid will generate propionyl CoA. So this propionyl CoA is converted into methyl malonyl CoA. This anyway the extensive mechanism which I will discuss in the lipid metabolism. So here you should remember that even fat also be important for the involved for the synthesis of new glucose molecule from the fat molecule. This propionyl CoA is converted. CoA is nothing but coenzyme A, which is converted into methyl malonyl coenzyme A, and that is directly converted into succinyl CoA or succinyl coenzyme A. This succinyl coenzyme A, which is one of the intermediary product in the citric acid cycle, from where it can be converted into oxaloacetate. From oxaloacetate, it can be converted into phosphoenol pyruvate, and finally that is going to be generation of new glucose molecule. This remember, this is from the fatty acid pathway. And not only that, even few amino acids, which are also be important for the synthesis of glucose whenever storage of carbohydrate is absent. So this is also be important. So the cycle we call glucose alanine cycle, because this is the major amino acid which is involved for the synthesis of glucose in the pathway of gluconeogenesis. So during starvation conditions, the proteins are hydrolyzed and the amino acid is transported into the liver, and that can start with the gluconeogenesis for the for the synthesis of glucose. So pyruvate in the skeletal muscle undergoes a transamination to produce alanine. Even if you take the muscle is nothing but which is skeletal muscle, which is made up of proteins, skeletal proteins, where the protein hydrolysis is taking place, so that the amino acid alanine, which is transaminated reactions, which will be converted into alanine, and this alanine is sent to the liver, and where the gluconeogenesis pathway is activated, and alanine is transported to the liver and used for the gluconeogenesis pathway. So this is simple. Even the absence of glucose, even the absence of a stored form of glucose, that is glycogen, even the fatty in the lipids and proteins, this can also be involved for the continuous supplying of this glucose to the brain. So one is propionate pathway, other one is glucose alanine cycle. This propionate pathway will be coming from all chain fatty acid, and alanine pathway is amino acids during the transamination reactions that are converting into alanine, and this can be going back to the liver, where it can activate the gluconeogenesis. And coming to the last part of this particular pathway is activators and inhibitors. So the strong activator of gluconeogenesis is glucagon. This we should remember. So definitely glucagon is an activator. It's an opponent hormone, that is insulin, will be inhibit this particular pathway. So here the glucagon, which will be involved for the activation in two ways. So one thing, this glucagon will directly inactivate or it can reduce the activity of pyruvate kinase. This pyruvate kinase, which is the last enzyme in the glycolysis reaction, where phosphoenol pyruvate is converting into the pyruvate, where pyruvate kinase is involved. This pyruvate kinase activity is reduced by the glucagon. That is the first way it can activate the gluconeogenesis. And second way of activation of gluconeogenesis is it can decrease the concentration of fructose 2,6 bisphosphate. If you remember in a glycolysis, where I discussed about this more concentration of fructose 2,6 bisphosphate, which is to be important for the conversion of fructose 6 phosphate to fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. So here the fructose 2,6 bisphosphate levels are low, so the favoring to glycolysis will be minimized, so that it is to be the fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is accumulating, and that can be going back into the formation of fructose 6 phosphate. So these are the two different ways that glucagon will be involved for the positive regulation of this gluconeogenesis. Not only that, even acetyl-CoA, citrate, ATP, many glucogenic amino acids, even carbohydrate feeding, these are to be positive inducers for the gluconeogenesis. Come to the repressors or inhibitors, insulin, definitely. Whenever you just remember in any pathway like a carbohydrate metabolism, amino acid metabolism, fatty acid metabolism, these two hormones will be acted opposite ways. So if glucagon is favoring particular pathway, mean definitely the pathway will be disfavored by the insulin. So these are always opponent. That you should be remember. Not only gluconeogenesis, this can be for majority of the pathways. And AMP act as an inhibitor. Even diabetes also be act as an inhibitor for gluconeogenesis pathway. So friends, now this is come to end, and you should finally remember that the glucose is to be converted from the non-carbohydrate molecule. Glucose is to be synthesized from the non-carbohydrate molecule, that is gluconeogenesis. And we'll meet you in the next class with the next pathway.